This is about as flimsy as can be, right? Mega promises to cut Social Security and Medicare. We ought to turn everything into discretionary spending, so it's all evaluated. Senator Ron Johnson, maybe we should privatize Social Security. He's not saying that Social Security should be privatized. He's saying maybe. But the problem with Social Security is it wasn't there for me, and I definitely, they denied my claim twice, even after what they had done to me, and they were the ones that caused my debility. So all federal legislation sunsets in 5 years. If a law is worth keeping, Congress can pass it again. Older adults are at serious risk from the mega Republican extremist agenda. I don't know what that is, but I believe that the president eventually is going to have, every president since 2010, that includes Barack Obama, Donald Trump, and possibly I'll finally get some kind of settlement with Biden. But eventually, I believe I'm going to need an apology from those two presidents. No surprise they owe us a public apology and resignation, no less than that will satisfy this republic. They never had a prayer. So this works two ways, right? I'm not playing both sides, but I'm just saying in my situation, and everyone is kind of in their own bubble. As flames by nature to the skies ascend, as weighty bodies to the center tend, as to the sea returning rivers roll, and the touched needle trembles to the pole, hither as their proper place arise. All various sounds of earth and seas and skies. Through undulating air the sounds are sent, and spread over all the fluid element. Their various news I heard of love and strife. Of peace and war, health, sickness, death, and life, of loss and gain, of famine, of store, of storms at seas, and travels on the shore. That, of course, is The Temple of Fame by Alexander Pope. The angels in my dreams. Yeah. Wide and more wide the floating rings advance, and to the margin dance. Thus every voice and sound, when first they break, on neighboring air a soft impression make, another ambient circle, then they move. That in its turn impels the next above. This I'm going to fill in. Hither, thither, it was all right here. All right. Fill all the watery plain. Or spoke aloud or whispered in the ear, nor ever silence rest or peace is here. As on the smooth expanse of crystal lakes, the sinking stone at first a circle makes, the trembling surface by the motion stirred, spreads in a second circle, then a third. was 3 books. Or, yeah. Adults are at serious risk. This is obviously a very partisan advertisement. Rhonda Harbinson. It was trending. No longer there. Whatever I clicked on. That's easy clickbait with the what's happening. A minority is powerless while it conforms to the majority. It is not even a minority then. If the alternative is to keep all just men in prison or give up war and slavery, the state will not hesitate which to choose. Of his books, this is what it seems like a simple statement, yet must wonder with authority why more people do not live according to their conscience. Is that your conscience? A bright, transparent barrel where the walls, the friezes gold, and gold, the capitals is heaven with stars, the roof with jewels aglow, and ever-living lamps depend in row, full in the passage of each spacious gate. The sage historians in white garments wait. Well, I'm not going to delete that right now because it proves a bigger point. His feet on scepters and tiaras trode. Right. Those look like feet to me. Right? On scepters and tiaras trode. Right. And his horned head belied the Libyan god. Okay, his horn head, what is that, unicorn? Little Mickey Mouse. It's got a profile face and a little Grinch with a middle finger sticking out. The definition of what? Another indication that nature is aware of the fact that infant circumcision is a process, right? What it leads to yet remains a mystery. But here are some of the damages it may cause or possibly not, right? It may be one of the keys to an eternal life, but I'm not sure that that's how I would want to live after, I dissolve this mortal coil, right? This flesh and bone. We don't know what we don't know until we know for sure, right? There Caesar graced with both Minerva's shores, and Minerva is obviously something in metaphysics or hermetic studies that relates actually to the nerves of the penis and vagina. She is the goddess of that sense and pleasure. Right there, Caesar graced with both Minerva, so there's two Minervas shown. Caesar, the world's great master, and his own. Unmoved, so superior still. Well, that's not going anywhere, and that's a still photo. It's not animated. I can show you the video, right, from various captures. Trained on that particular volcano the day of the eruption, and we could freeze the frame to how I came about to that image. But this also relates to that, and so do these other things. unmoved, superior still in every state, and scarce detested in his country's fate. The invitation goes out along highways, down alleys. Yes, it goes out even to the path that is so lonely that only one solitary person walks it, so that there is only one track, that of the unhappy one who fled down it with his wretchedness, otherwise no track, and no track to show that anyone can come back along this way. There too the invitation finds its way, and most easily when it brings back the fugitive to the inviter. Come here, all you, and you, and you, too, you who are the loneliest. This invitation stands at the crossroads where temporal and earthly suffering has planted its cross. And there it beckons, come here, all you poor and miserable, who must slave in poverty to eke out an existence with nothing more than a toilsome future. Come here, all you despised and discarded ones whose existence no one cares about, not even as much for a domestic animal that has more value. All you sick, lame, deaf, blind, crippled, insane, come here. This invitation blasts away all distinctions in order to gather everybody together. You sick at heart, you who through your anguish learn that a person's heart and an animal's heart are not the same. All you who have been treated unfairly, wronged, insulted, and mistreated. All you noble ones who were loving and unselfish and faithful, yet who deservedly reap the reward of ingratitude, come here. All you victims of cunning and deceit and backbiting and envy, whom evil singled out and cowardice deserted, where no one asks what rights you have, where no one asks what wrong you have suffered, and where no one asks where it pains or how it pains, while the crowd tramples you into the dust. Come here. The invitation stands at the crossroads where death separates, and that's Soren Kierkegaard. It's a quote from one of his books. The here, I guess, of course, would be compensation economic, right? But economic compensation along with the wisdom on how to use that compensation wisely and how to contribute to society, instead of hoarding, which is not healthy for anybody. We live in a very low state of the world and pay unwilling tribute to governments founded on force. There is not among the most religious and instructed men of the most religious and civil nations a reliance on the moral sentiment and a sufficient belief in the unity of things to persuade them that society can be maintained without artificial restraints, as well as the solar system, or that the private citizen might be reasonable and a good neighbor without the hint of a jail or a confiscation. What is strange, too, there never was in any man sufficient faith in the power of rectitude to inspire him with the broad design of renovating the state on the principle of right and love. All those who have pretended this design have been partial reformers and have admitted in some manner the supremacy of the bad state. And that's a quote by Ralph Waldo Emerson. This was something I made a while ago. And then, of course, you've got this thing appearing in the sun. The date is on there. 2016, 5/10, 11:58:41. All right. Continue on. That's the actual raw image. Right. Come here. The invitation goes out. All right, and that's where that ends. From childhood exploring always the affinities and repulsions of particles, anticipate the laws of organization. Does not the eye of the human embryo predict the light? The ear of Handel predict the witchcraft of harmonic sound? Do not the constructive fingers of Watt, Fulton, Whitmore, Arkwright predict the fusible, hard, and temperable texture of metals, the properties of stone, water, and wood. The lovely attributes of the maiden child predict the refinement and decorations of civil society. Here also we are reminded of the action of man on man. A mind might ponder its thought for ages, and not gain so much self-knowledge as the passion of love shall teach it in a day. Who knows himself before he has been thrilled with the indignation at an outrage, or has heard an eloquent tongue, or has shared the throb of thousands in a national exultation or alarm? No man can antedate his experience or guess what faculty or feeling a new object shall unlock any more than he can draw today the face of a person whom he shall see tomorrow for the first time. That's from Essay on History by Ralph Waldo Emerson.